Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our second members virtual forum. Thank you for joining us this evening. And we have a number of panelists here to answer your questions this evening. So we have Chairman John Farragher, we have Deputy Chairman Peter Northfield, we are due to have our head of the Cricket Advisory Group, Ronnie Irani. He may have been delayed.
Waylaid.
We have Derek Bowden, Chief Executive Officer, and we also have Pip George, who is Chairman of EKIC. So, without further ado, let's move on to the pre-submitted questions. And the first one, which has come through from Mike Stringer and Andrew Bright. Basically, when do we expect to hear the proposed fixtures for the shortened season? And so I'll put that one to Derek, CEO. Derek.
Okay, thanks, Mike. We should hear fixtures for the four-day competition next Friday. A lot of work has been done and the fixtures are virtually there. I saw a draft today at an ECB board CEOs meeting. So we should get the fixture list for four-day cricket at the end of next week, which we can then publish. White ball cricket, T20 Blast, won't be until the end of August.
Okay, right. Well, that's fairly clear. So we'll move on to one which I'm sure will require a rather lengthier answer from Chairman John Farragher. And I'm going to put really, we had quite a few questions coming on a couple of topics, which are not surprising really. So thanks very much to Ken Brazier, Mike Stringer, Janine Degan, Ian Grimsley and Alan Mayo. So I'll bump them two together really. As the new season is now only a couple of weeks or so away, is the overwhelming assumption now that at least the start or part of it will be behind closed doors? And really just very simply, is there any indication yet at all whether all the matches will have to be behind closed doors or not? So John, over to you for that.
Okay, right. Thanks very much, Mike, and good evening, everybody, and thanks for joining us. Look, the answer to this, we're in a tricky situation right now. As we know, the test matches that are being played right now, they are behind closed doors. If I'm honest with you, as we sit here tonight, I think it's highly likely that the start of the season, i.e. the red ball four-day games for the Bob Willis Trophy, will be behind closed doors. We are still working closely with the ECB in terms of all of the safety requirements and keeping the ground biologically safe. Right now, the ground is biosecure in terms of players, officials, and everyone else who will be involved in staging the game. But in terms of us getting a crowd of any number into the ground, the outlook is not great. That does not mean we are not continuing to see what we can do. So that there could be a possibility that we can get some people in, but I have to be honest with you, I think that is unlikely. One of our biggest problems is in terms of biosafety and security. The ground would have to be a one-way circuit. In other words, you come in basically at one gate and leave by another. But as you all know, and those of you who know the ground well, we are very tight for space, and for us to be able to give everybody and keep everybody safe in line with the government guidelines, it's virtually an impossibility. If you walk behind the Felsted stand by the flats on the far side of the ground, that path is probably less than a metre. You can only just about get along there. So that becomes an area that would be totally unacceptable for moving people around. And then the rest of the ground would be very difficult to segregate. So entry and leaving and people just generally moving around, for us to be able to guarantee the 2 metre safety line is virtually impossible. Now, we are continuing to talk with the ECB. If the restrictions change in any way, then we would obviously do our utmost to get some people into the ground to watch some cricket. But I think if I'm on, I repeat, but I have to be open and very honest with you. I think it is unlikely that we are going to be able to get people into the ground for the red ball competition. Moving on to the T20, and I have to say that I think the same problems are still going to be there. If we can't get you in for the red ball under the government guidelines, then the same is going to have to apply for T20. And we know how much that means to everybody. Every one of us is desperate to see people at the ground watching the cricket. You know, we're up and ready as a ground. We're ready to receive you if at all possible, but the signs are not good. And I don't know I can actually put it any other way to you, but we will continue to do our very best. We will continue to work with the ECB. And if there is any way we can get some people into the ground, we will do. And we will keep you fully up to date on that. So it's not a closed door, but it's not far off being closed, I'm sorry to say. I can't really add much more to that, Mike, or if anyone else, Derek, if you want to add on to that.
Yeah, Derek, did you want to?
But I think I've covered pretty much as the situation is right now.
Yeah, I mean, certainly I think for red ball cricket, we will be behind closed doors. We'll make every effort that we can to get some people in to see white ball cricket, T20 Blast, if we can. As John has already said, one of the things we are, so it will be possible for members and others to watch all our cricket matches at home via live streaming. So whilst that's not the same, we know, as attending the ground with your friends and chums and enjoying yourselves, you know, in the open air, at least the content of the cricket will be available to all of you to watch live. And we're working very hard on putting together a streaming product that will be entertaining as well as the right quality for sport. I
mean, just picking up on one small point, there is, of course, if the Red Ball Trophy, you know, when it gets going, and what will be difficult for everybody to swallow is if you hear that crowds are getting into, I don't know, Canterbury or somewhere else, but some of those other county grounds are, the accessibility of those grounds is so much easier than Chelmsford, and they have more space and more room around, and they are able to meet the requirements, you know, much easier than we can at Chelmsford. So it's because of that, and you know, that we probably can't get you in. But do understand, most of the other grounds around the country have far more space than we do. You know, we are tight for space, and that's a fact. It doesn't really affect us too much, you know, when the times are good. But right now, with these hard and fast rules that we have to follow, given the guidance by the government, and for your own safety, for the people that are there who come to the ground, we have to follow the guidelines, and just be aware that it's unlikely to happen this year.
Okay, thanks, right, John, and Derek. Just a quick question coming from Mile James here, actually. So, what about second 11 cricket at places like Coggeshall?
It is. It's still to be determined, but quite unlikely that there will be second 11 cricket. Okay. Given the truncated nature of the season, the need to accommodate men's first-class cricket as well as women's first-class cricket, it's very unlikely there'll be second 11 cricket, I'm afraid.
Okay, right. Well, let's just move on to a question actually about the financial implications. It's more than a $64,000 question, really. I want to add a note on there somewhere, maybe. But do we know how much the pandemic disruption has cost the club? I'm sure Chief Executive is in a good place to answer that one. So, Derek.
Yeah, it's. I shouldn't be smiling, really. It's still costing the club in reality, and we won't know until year end really how much it has finally cost the club. I think in terms of income, it will have cost us around £2 million in lost income. In terms of profit, it would have cost us probably getting on for £1 million this year. Obviously, we don't have the income, but we don't have the costs associated with servicing that income. But I would think this year will be, circa £1 million. So a really significant sum of money. And we're not alone in that regard. All counties will be hit as hard as that, and some even harder than that. But yeah, I think our best estimate at the moment is getting on for £1 million this year in terms of profit loss.
Right. Okay. Okay. Well, that sort of leads on to a question that many of you have mailed in, so I won't read out everybody's names. They're all the similar topic, and as someone has just pointed out on the chat, what appears to be the elephant in the room, have we spoken about membership yet? So moving on, a couple of questions that I sum up this is, has a decision yet to be made on membership, and will membership paid for this season be either repaid somehow or carried over to the next season, or some other arrangement? So I think I'm going to actually hand this googly over to the deputy chairman and Peter Norfield to answer.
Yes, thanks, Mike, for that really good one. I mean, the honest answer is no, the board hasn't finally decided, but in reality, membership earns us about 400,000 a year. You've heard from Derek that this has cost us $1 million so far. And I think in all honesty, that I can't see that we'll be refunding any memberships this year. Having said that, of course, if there are cases of hardship, then obviously we would look at that. What we want to do is to enhance the product for members. Derek's already mentioned the streaming service, for example, which will be not quite broadcast quality, but it involves more than one camera. It involves a commentary. That is quite expensive to lay on for members. We provided a lot of other content, which we referred to previously, such as the various evenings with older players. And I think that the really crucial thing about all this is what can we do to reward the loyalty of members that are heroes, to us, because they're keeping the club afloat. What can we do for them next year? And that's what we're still working on. That's why we haven't finally actually taken a decision, but we will be doing that. And I think the plan is to announce that on the 30th of July. So I'm sorry to say that we probably won't be refunding. But times are very desperate. That the club is actually in survival mode at the moment. It isn't simply managing a crisis. This is all about survival, because the figures for next year look equally horrendous, if not worse. I don't know whether Chairman probably would wish to add something to that. I'm sure it's close to his heart.
Yeah, thanks, Peter. I mean, look, this is always a very difficult subject, isn't it? When we're talking money and returning sums of money, we recognise we are very fortunate to have one of the best membership bases in the country. We have a fantastic group of members. They're very loyal to Essex. They support us. A lot of them have seen us through some really hard times, and and in the last few years, we're witnessing some great times here at Essex, and we want that to continue. We want to be the club that is there come next season. We want to be out there pushing hard for the championship again, the T20. I mean, this year we're taking part in the Bob Willis Trophy. We're going into that to win. Our mentality and our approach to the game is still, we haven't changed. But the finances, which are, if you like, are the bedrock of the club, they are tight. And we have to do what's right to keep the Essex County Cricket Club moving. And we are facing big losses this year. And Peter has touched on the fact that, if you get into returning membership subscriptions, we would be looking at a further £350,000, 400 hit on the finances, and that puts us into an even more perilous situation. So we will discuss this, again at the board, because we want to do what's right for you, the members, but we do want to make sure that we can bring you exciting cricket next year. So rest assured, whatever action we take on this will be with you very much in heart. And Peter has touched on that. If we find that we are unable to return subscriptions, we will be looking to repay your loyalty next year, and we will come up with something that we hope you find very appealing. But just bear with us while we do. Help us get through this very, very difficult situation. I'm hoping that we can count on your loyalty and all of you supporting us, because we are working and doing the very best we can to make sure that we come through this period, not to say unscathed, but we come through it and we get through ready for next season and ready to perform at the very top level again. So That would be my statement to you now. We recognise that times are hard, and I do understand that. And for some people, times are particularly difficult. And we are, you know, we are not that cold in terms of what some of you must be going through right now. And we do understand that. But please bear with us. We are working hard. We will get through this. If we all stick in this together, we will come out as the mighty Essex again, ready for next season. And let's face it, that's what we all want. We all want Essex to be #1 again. We're there. We're going to hold on to the trophy through this winter, and it's going to be there. And we'll polish it up again, and we'll show it to everybody next year, just to remind us and all the opposition that, hey, Essex is still here. We're in fighting, and we're out there to win it again. So hopefully, please bear with us. We will get through it, and we will look after you next year.
Okay, thanks, John. There's a couple of questions coming. I think Derek might throw this one at you as well in this context as well. So, is there a crowdfunding in place whereby we can make a donation to help the club financially?
Yes, there is crowdfunding in place. It's been in place for a few weeks now. Details are on the website. So yes, it is possible to make a contribution via crowdfunding. Absolutely.
Okay, thanks. Anything else to add, Derek, on that? Or?
No, I mean, I think we can. I mean, the details are on the website. If anybody has any particular questions to ask, then please just send us an email and we'll respond to it. But yeah, no, we have the facility in place for sure, and we'd love to take some support via crowdfunding. It'd be fantastic. Okay,
good. Another interesting question in from Matt Tockley. I don't know if I pronounced that right. It says his local football club, Colchester United, have had to make some tough decisions in respect of their playing squad for the coming season, including releasing the club captain and several first-team players. The chairman, John, has been pretty honest about this and said there'll be a focus on youth going forward. Acknowledging the earlier comments about not understanding the full financial impact until our year end, do the panel see any potential constraints to putting together a competitive squad next year with the finances available, or will there be a similar priority on youth?
I mean, we can answer that in terms of, and Derek can come in as well on this one, but look, you know, we are going to, we're studying, we're very, very carefully reviewing the finances so we understand exactly where the club is, and we will be making all of our decisions based on what's right for the club financially and what's right for cricket going forward. I mean, you know, there's two sides to this. One, we want to make sure that we are out there competing at the very top level next year. We know that we have some players who are reaching that point in their careers, and Tendos and Alistair Cook, who are probably, you know, we know that in some point in the future they will be leaving us. So we have to make sure that the youth is coming through, which it is. We have a great squad of players around us right now. And we will be doing everything we can to ensure that we are able to keep the squad that we have. But we are very conscious of the finances that we have to look at to keep the club going. So it's a very careful balancing act that we have to ensure, and we must get it right, and we will get it right. And there'll be over the coming weeks, there will be some very detailed discussions going on involving the treasurer and the finance director and Derek and myself and the rest of the board in terms of making the right decisions for Essex on the financial and stability side of the club and on the playing front. But rest assured, I said it previously, we have not lowered our ambitions for this club. We want this club to be very, very successful. And to do that, we have to do well on the field. So we do understand that we need to have the right playing squad, but somehow we will work through this and we will make sure that we come out next season with the right players around us so we can compete at all levels. But at this stage, it's hard, it's impossible to tell you exactly what we're going to do in terms of if we're going to have to remove players or people or whatever. Those financial discussions are taking place right now. And once again, I say, just bear with us. We are working diligently on getting the right solution to this, and we will get that. But it's just going to take a bit of time. We have to be very careful, and we have to make the right decisions. But I'm confident that the group of people we have around us tonight, we will deliver the right programme for Essex County Cricket Club, rest assured.
Okay. Thanks, John.
Derek, do you want to add anything to that?
No, well, only just to reiterate some of what you said, and Peter, I know you want to come in as well, so I'll be short. But yeah, job number one is a very strong and successful, achieving cricket squad. That's what we're in business for. That's what we're in sport for. And that's the most important thing on our agenda at the moment, is to ensure that we have a strong squad this season and in seasons going forward. And I think the strategy that we've developed over the last few years of success being gained through a homegrown talent strategy, augmented by senior players brought in on a limited basis, has meant that we've achieved a lot of success with far less expenditure than many other counties. So I think that strategy will remain. And job number one is to be a successful cricket club. Peter, sorry.
I mean, and we have recruited well. Sorry, Pete, just to jump.
I was just going to say that I was going to make the point that Derek made, actually. Our culture, of course, as a business, is that we are conservative with a small c. You know, that we do depend on getting the kids through, we do depend on the academy, and that's got to be the way forward. That's what's made us successful.
It has.
Yeah.
You know, that the academy has done us proud, really. You know, we do turn out lots of good youngsters. Our success rate through the academy is excellent, and that's what we will continue with. I mean, and we recognise that you know, in our coach and the rest of the support staff there, we have a super setup, and so we are well set for planning for the future, and we will take all that into account when we go through the finances. But just please, bear with us. We will get there.
Right, thanks then, John. Just a quick question, in really relating back to something we did talk about, but I think this makes need to sort of reiterate this point, I think. So this is from Kevin Mansell. So can we assume that counties without the ground limitations of Chelmsford, i.e. the test grounds, or others maybe, will be having some sort of crowd in attendance? Or who's running this show, the ECB or local Essex Public Health government?
You can't, there are other grounds, as I said. However, at the moment, as you see, at Test cricket, there is nobody there. It's behind closed doors. That is the ruling at the moment within cricket. Same as in soccer, it's behind closed doors. So how that changes, and you know, we have to follow the guidelines. The guidelines are given to us by the ECB, who are working very closely with the government. So if that changes at all, then yes, it may over the next 2 or 3 weeks. The rulings may change slightly for cricket. I mean, they're talking about horse racing, having people in, and various, the social distancing gaps seem to be, decreasing. So, I mean, it may be that they soften it, but the problem, as I said before, is that even if they did, and they said to you, yes, you can have a number of people in the ground, I don't believe, it's the view of us as the board, and looking at the facilities and the way our ground is constructed, it will be virtually impossible for us to meet the requirements going forward. So I think at this stage, and that's why I'm saying the door is not closed, and if there are changes in the requirements or of the guiding principles, then we will get back to you and we will work in accordance with that. But right now, it is behind closed doors. And if it changes, then you'll be advised. But and we would look. Rest assured, if we can get people into the ground, we will, because we recognise that's what people want. But please bear with us. We have to follow the governmental instructions and the guidance of the ECB. We have no alternative. We cannot do anything that puts anybody who comes into the ground at risk, and we would never do that. So understand that we will never put anybody at risk who comes into the ground. But let's hope something happens and we could do it. But I have to warn you up front, I think it's unlikely. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, John. Good question.
Even if it did, it would be very small numbers.
Yeah.
In the 10s or low 100s. Yeah. That would be the maximum.
Okay, let's. A good question coming in from Lorna Piper here, actually, which I know has been discussed around. This is around the whole topic of I'll get the teeth in. Reciprocal arrangements. What sort of reciprocal? I mean, asked specifically about this season, but I mean, what sort of possible reciprocal arrangements could be in place either this year or maybe into next year, Derek?
Yeah, to be confirmed at the moment, but certainly the last few conversations with ECB have been based on the assumption that certainly with the Bob Willis Trophy, if crowds are allowed into certain grounds or all grounds, that the members of any county should be able to watch cricket at any other ground. Now, obviously, that will be dependent upon availability of seats. But what it would mean is that an Essex member could decide to, go to Lords, could decide to go to Hove, could decide to go to Northampton, and watch any game they wish, providing the ground itself hadn't already sold out, I presume, to its own membership. But certainly the intention would be, in terms of reciprocity, the intention would be to allow members to see as much cricket as they possibly can at any ground that's open. Hard to manage, but that's the ambition.
Okay, thanks for that, Derek. And I think there's more questions coming your way, particularly since you're acting as 12th man for Ronnie Irani for a number of these. So I understand Ronnie hasn't been able to join us, I don't believe. So given the shortened season, what are we looking to achieve?
Success, really. I think it's simple as that. As John said, we have a strong squad. We have a talented squad. We have a very successful squad of players. We want to build on last year, and if we could find a way of getting the triple, that would be wonderful, wouldn't it? If we could get the Bob Willis Trophy, keep the Championship Trophy and win the Blast, we'd be very happy. But this, whilst it's a truncated season and a very unusual season, the ambition in the squad and in the club is to win, for sure.
Yeah, and I know John has obviously stressed that as well.
I endorse that totally. You know my views on that. We're in it to win it.
And I'm sure if Ronnie was here, he would be absolutely, ramming home that message.
He would.
Very much so. Okay, how have the players been with the new regulations in place since returning to training?
They've been very good. I mean, we've spent quite a bit of time, on the educational side, ensuring that they're well informed as to what we're doing in terms of the ground, the biosecurity of the ground, and the security measures, biosecurity measures we put in place for training, whether it was one-to-one training initially or now training in smaller groups. So they understand why we're doing it. They support why we're doing it. They're very aware of the regulations that will be in place when we travel away from home, as well as when we're playing at the county ground. In fact, before they went on their first day of training this year, back on the 1st of July, they had literally a walk-around guided tour of the ground in terms of how they need to behave in terms of temperature checks, hand sanitization, distancing. They've really taken it on board and understand why we're doing it, and are very supportive. They've been a really good bunch of lads actually in the last couple of weeks, as indeed they were during furlough. But they can't wait to get out on the field and play competitive cricket.
Yeah, I'm sure. Okay, what's the latest news coming out of the England cap regarding Dan Lawrence's prospects and chances of making his debut? No
definitive news, but I think as you probably could have seen, looking at the result. I haven't seen the score today actually, but looking at the result of the first game, it's likely that Dan will remain with the squad certainly through August. Hasn't been confirmed yet. In fact, I had a conversation with ECB yesterday about it, but it's highly likely that Dan will be in the squad, the broader squad, for the month of August, as well as obviously the whole of the month of July. So whilst that is depleting, let's say, for the Essex County squad, it's fantastic for Dan and actually fantastic for the club, because potentially there's get another homegrown talent that's going to be playing for England. But the probability is that he'll be in the squad in August, and then they'll review that for September.
Okay. Actually, it wasn't coming via the pre-questions, but actually I had an email from a member earlier today that was very much in this, talking about England and Essex, and saying how surprising it is that, with our success over recent years, there's so few Essex players involved in England setup. As what's Ronnie's got a view on that, and what's the view on that? John, you've got a view on that?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think all we can do on this particular subject is we keep churning out the players. I mean, if England decide not to pick them, then that is up to them. We know in the players that we've got, I mean, for the last couple of years, I feel a little bit sorry for Jamie Porter. I mean, he's not had any real recognition at all, and yet he's been, and him and Simon Harmer in the last couple of years, and closely behind them is young Sam Cook. But, clearly, I think certainly I was surprised when Jamie Porter didn't get a Lions tour last winter. He could do no more, really, than take the wickets that he's done. So if England decide not to go for a guy like James, well, okay, it's really their loss and our gain. We always used to say this, didn't we, about James Foster? We were very fortunate because, in many eyes, James was probably one of the best keepers, one of the best glovemen in the world when he was playing, and yet he played what, 4 or 5 times for England. I mean,
7, I think he played.
7, there you are. Yeah. But no one could understand that. In most people's books, he was the out-and-out #1 keepers. But okay, if they don't want to take, we'll willingly keep them here with us at Essex, and we'll let them go on and score runs and take wickets. But we can do no more. I mean, our track record, and we can be proud of what we've done in sort of providing England players and England captains. We have a great track record, and as a club, we are highly successful. Our players have given us in the last 40 years. We've won more trophies now than any other county, and so we're ticking all the right boxes. We're turning out our own homegrown Essex players. We do well. We do everything properly. And if England decide not to take them, well, I don't believe there's any more we can do. We're certainly providing and pushing forward people who are certainly on ability-wise ready to play for England. We can do no more than get them ready and put them up there and give them the opportunities at Essex. It's then down to England whether they want to use them.
Okay, good. All right, there's a few more questions coming in here, and so I'll try and put them in a relevant order. This is from Steve Peacock. So this is on the subject of overseas players next year, actually. So will Tendo be classified as an overseas player in 2021 when Harmer and Siddle already contracted as overseas?
No, he won't. He won't, because he has a Dutch passport, so he's not a Kolpak player. So he won't be Kolpak needing to convert to overseas.
Right. Good.
So really picking on that question, Mike. So Simon Harmer and Peter Siddle. Simon Harmer will be overseas, obviously, and Pete Siddle. So they're our 2 overseas players for next year.
But we will, in 2021, we'll be allowed 3 overseas players, 2 per competition. So with Harmer and Sids, there's still an opportunity for us to bring in a 3rd overseas player in 2021, but we can't play all 3 in the same competition.
No. Right. Okay. Okay, so now Pip George has been sitting very quietly there. We didn't have any preordained questions for you, but fortunately, Kevin Room has just come in with a good question for you, Pip. How has the Essex cricket in the community been dealing with the recreational side of the game, vectors of disease, etc., and how is it now that it's back?
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for the question. Well, in short, we've been following ECB guidance and trying to ensure that the cricket community does the same. Inevitably, people have been out there champing at the bit to play cricket. But to be honest, if 2 months ago you'd asked me whether we would at this stage be playing recreational cricket at this point, I would probably have said no. At the very best, I would have thought we might have had 6-a-side cricket or something like that with social distancing. But the fact is that recreational cricket started last weekend, and this weekend all the leagues are getting into full swing with a full cricket programme, and that's wonderful. Inevitably, there are lots and lots of regulations that we have to abide by. Obviously, social distancing is essential, but also sanitation has to be taken every 6 overs. We have sanitation breaks so that the ball and hands can be sanitized. And it will look a slightly different game, but the fact is that we are playing, and hopefully the sun will shine at the weekend and everyone will have a lovely time. A nice touch, incidentally, from the Shepherd Neame League is that this year they've revamped the league, and all the leagues have been named after former Essex captains. So it reinforces the link between recreational cricket and Essex cricket, which has been so strong. And we've seen that, of course, in so many recreational cricketers having fought their way through into the first team in recent years.
Okay, following up from that, actually, are people allowed to watch cricket taking recreational games?
Yes, they are. Clubs are required to ensure social distancing, so that, for instance, it's very much up to clubs to decide whether they open their bars to members. Some clubs are taking the view it's too hard to do that, and they're simply not opening the clubhouse at all, other than for toilet facilities. Changing rooms are out of bounds anyway, so players and officials have to come changed. But people are very welcome to go and watch the games, very much encouraged to, as long as they, of course, socially distance.
Right, okay, thanks very much for that. Actually, on the subject of crowds and venues, actually, an email has just come in, actually, from Richard Knight. If heavens forbid this coronavirus continues over to next year, would it be possible to return to play at Garens Park? A horrible venue, but surely more capable of allowing spectators to attend, being far larger.
I think the answer to that would be, Mike, everything will be up for discussion. We have to, when we have a better feel of what next year is going to be like, we will of course look at every option to make sure that if we have to play cricket, then we'll look at where we can play and take the whole thing. But we have to, you weigh it all up against the finances, what it entails, facilities. So the simple answer is nothing is off the table. And we, as we get closer to next year and we have an idea of what's going on, then further decisions will be taken. So right now, everything is up for consideration. The important thing is, it's the Championship cricket next year, and if it's T20, we're going to be there playing. So one way or another, we will be out there representing the county. Whether that's at Garens Park, Colchester, Chelmsford, I mean, who knows what's going to happen. No one could have foreseen what was going to happen this year. And next year, at this stage, it would be impossible to say what's going to happen. But we'll be right on top of that, and we will be looking at every possible opportunity and taking whatever action is necessary.
Yeah, because David Williams also talked about Colchester as well, and I'm guessing obviously to try and do anything for this year would be almost impossible, wouldn't it? Because of setting up the biosecure environment for the players.
This year's out. If you saw the amount of work involved that the team of the guys under Graham Charles and Stuart Kerrison, the work they've had to do at the ground at Chelmsford is unbelievable. To get that ground, and that's our home ground, and to get that biosecure, the likelihood of being able to achieve that at an outground in the space of 2 or 3 or 4 weeks is impossible. You couldn't possibly do it. That's not possible this year. No, it's not.
Okay. Right, a question from Ian Grimsley. Why were the floodlights illuminated this week?
No, Derek.
Simply for testing. They were installed, the installation was completed a few weeks back. This week we've been testing them in terms of the luminosity and alignment, as well as some of the cleverer things that the lights do. In terms of coloured poles, some of you may have noticed if you've wandered by at night time, we can illuminate the poles in different colours. But really, it's as simple as testing. They'll be illuminated tonight as well, because it's the final evening of testing this evening, and then probably the lighting contractor will be back in September to do some fine tuning. But that's the simple answer to the question: testing.
Okay, thanks very much for that. Phil Eastley has just messaged that England are 179 for 3. They're actually 193 for 3 now, so they're going well there. So a question from Mark Wallace about the T20. I'm not sure quite understand, but can you confirm when that is due to start, and when that, just the time frame for the competition and the structure?
The competition is due to start in September and will run for the month of September. The final of the 4-day, from memory, will probably be at the end of September, interestingly enough, but the T20 Blast will run as a block in the month of September. It will be in 3 regional groups again. There will be 10 games per team, and then a finals day at Edgbaston.
Right, okay. Okay, good. Right. Well, I think at this stage, where are we? We're pretty much out of the questions that were asked beforehand, and we're out of the questions. Been a couple of comments come in, which I'll try to deal with. So, if anyone else has got any more questions, if they could put them on the Q&A, please.
We could just now, Mike, just mention that when we're planning to do this, we're looking to perhaps do another forum.
Yeah, I was going to wrap that up at the end, but
okay, sorry, Mike.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Yeah, I've just got. I think this was answered maybe earlier, but I'm not sure. For Melly Barrett, when will the fixture list be published?
Well, the fixture list for the 4-day game should be next Friday, and the fixtures for T20 Blast will be at the end of August. No date confirmed yet.
Right. Okay. Okay. Good. Right. Okay. Then, John. Yes, we'll come on to the arrangements going forward. So we're looking to have another members forum. I think it's end of the month, 30th. I think has been mentioned. A sort of pre-season forum for members. And there will also be following that the official AGM. So, John, did you want to just talk a bit about the AGM?
Yeah, I mean, we're looking to hold the AGM, and we will be able to finalise the date pretty soon. But it's going to probably be within the first couple of weeks, probably towards the end of week 2 of August. But as I say, that will be finalised. We're just going over the final numbers that are going through the auditors, etc. And that will be announced as soon as possible. That's why we thought that what we would do, we would have perhaps have another members forum on the 30th. We can probably finalise discussions on the membership, etc., at that time. So that would be our plan to, just going forward. But as soon as we know, we can firm up the AGM dates. It'll obviously be a virtual AGM, and that will be, say, towards the end of the second week of August.
Okay.
Add, Mike.
Yes.
I mean, the one on the 30th, we hope to have Mags and Tom Wesley there.
Yeah.
So, that
to join us. Yeah.
I mean, it's the traditional pre-season. Although it's the end of July, it's the pre-season forum.
Pre-season, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thanks. We've had a quick question coming in about life members. When will the yearbook be dispatched? Well, I can answer that due to the wonderful technical team in the background here, who said that they'll be with the life members very soon. They were posted out this week. So. So that's good, right? Panelists, is there anything else you'd like to add at this stage?
Well, the only thing I would say, just on behalf of, look, I think these evenings are super, and we should continue them. I think these are a great way for us to all get together and listen to concerns, and we will use this, of course, ongoing to share all that we possibly can with the membership, because, and it's a repeat, but it's so important that that people realise the membership of this club. They are the foundation, and we are all members here. We're all members of the club. We want to do what's right for this club. It's a big responsibility because we have to make sure we remain viable and successful. And juggling that right now, it is tricky, but we're all becoming pretty good jugglers. But by the time we get through this, we'll be pretty expert. But we, rest assured, we do sincerely appreciate all the support we have from the membership here. We are respected around the country as a club, and a lot of that is due to you guys who also travel with us to away games. We are fortunate to have such a loyal membership base, and we do thank you for that. And let's hope that next year we can give you the sort of entertainment and the success that we will, is our aim to bring to you every year. So thank you for your support this year. We will finalise what's happening on the subscriptions at our next forum. But in the meantime, thank you very much for everybody's support, and we will continue doing the very best we can for this club.